Hello and welcome to Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space, the podcast intent on exploring all that science fiction and fantasy has to offer, one movie at a time. My name is Joel.
Is it my turn?
Anybody.
My name's Kiempo.
My name is Aaron.
My name is Sarah.
Stand by me, 날 바라봐줘. 아직 사랑을 모르지만 Stand by me, 날 지켜봐줘. 아직 사랑에 서툴지만
The movie this week was Save the Green Planet from 2003, otherwise known as, let me, can you read this? This is
I don't know. My parents not that great.
That's alright. Directed by Junwan Yang, right? Junwan Yang?
Yeah.
And, oh man, I'm gonna murder these. Starring Ha Kyun Shin as Lee Byung-gu, Yeon Shik Baek as... Oh god, should I just stop?
Look it up on IMDb. There's
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at IMDb.
No, I'm telling the listener.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What Sarah said.
What did it say?
Jung Min Hong.
Young Min
Hong as like
Sunni.
Sunyi.
Jae Young Lee. Anyways, there's a lot of pretty good stuff in there. Although I don't actually recognize any of them, but I don't have as much experience in Korean movies as I would like to.
I should get on that.
Yeah, well, that's next on my list. Right after Fireball making with Aaron. He really wanted to go to the park and just, practice our Kamehamehas come out. Cool.
Fireball.
That's not Korean.
That's really, not Korean.
I'm offended.
Still, it's pretty awesome.
So,
wait, did you just make a Japanese reference?
Yeah, that's what that. No, well, that's what Aaron's always doing. He's always doing the Dragon Ball Zs, and I know it's not the same thing.
I don't know.
He's a Super Saiyan.
So, excuse. I don't know.
He's a Vegeta.
I'm a Vegeta.
He's a vegetable?
He's a chicken fajita.
Chicken fajita. I hang out with those Krillins, man.
Illin like Krillin. Okay, so...
Horrible.
So I got Campo back on here to talk about this movie because that was her pick. And we're all... we've been putting it off for a couple weeks because it was a particularly difficult movie to locate. We had to go into the far reaches of the same town we live in, into a video store that we never ventured into because, I don't know. Let's, even though I want to get into the movie, how do you guys feel about the concept of video stores in this era now?
Well, I think the one video store I used to frequent closed down in Fillmore Video. And I don't think I've ever been to another video store. Well, I mean, I have been to Salzer's video store, but yeah, no, I felt that was kind of like a closed chapter. You know, when Steve passed away, there was no real point to go to another video store, I think.
I kind of miss the idea of going to a video shop and you'd watch things that you wouldn't normally because you just see it there and you see the cover and like, oh, well, I'll have to check this one out. Mm-hmm. There isn't so much like for that now. It just seems like you have to look it up or you have to actually hear about it. Like, I kind of also miss that at the movies where you'd find out about a lot of really nice movies and go to I guess video rental was like be the first one to have foreign films. And, yeah, that's mostly where I got all my anime collection. Then when DVDs came out, I made out like a bandit. They tried to get rid of all the VHSs. I got all a whole box for free of mostly Slayers. But there was also a social aspect too.
Yeah.
You went over there and you could kind of socialize them and be like, "Wow, is this movie good? Have you seen it yet?" But, or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. And watching movies used to be more social too. Like, you'd rent a movie and it would be like the one copy in town or whatever. And you'd say, hey, we're watching that movie. And your friends would come over and watch it because they didn't have any other means to watch it by. You know, it wasn't like they could just go on Amazon or whatever and download it. It was the
concept
getting together.
Yeah, the concept of streaming a movie would be a science fiction, like idea. What do you mean I can go in my house and go to a box and I can watch whatever I want without putting a VHS tape in? You're crazy.
Oh man, you guys have like a way more happier reason. Like mine was like there was no one around, so you had to get the video, so that way there was something you can do because people can't come over, kind of a thing.
That sucks.
But
I didn't watch it with friends either. I just whatever the family had.
Yeah, exactly. The best part was going to the Laserdisc section with my dad as a kid.
I have no fancy laser discs around here, but your dad liked to have the new stuff, huh?
Well, it was new at the time. It was the 80s. So.
Yeah.
But he actually had like a home theater, like there's a screen that would come down from the ceiling, and he'd have a giant projector that would have like, so I'd watch Demolition Tank Police on this giant screen in this room that was just meant for movies. But it wasn't, I guess it was social.
That's cool.
But, yeah.
Well, I did feel sad when the Blockbuster that was on Victoria closed down because...
All the Blockbusters.
Well, that one in particular, I feel like I spent a lot of time in... There were a lot of video stores that went out of business.
Kind of felt like they imploded like at the end of Poltergeist. Because I don't really remember seeing any of the stores, even the physical stores of what used to be Blockbusters or Video Time, or what was another one? Hollywood Video.
Hollywood Video.
There was the one on Main Street too. What was that one we used to go to? That's now like a iPhone fixed place.
Oh yeah.
It was like
He had a comic book store in the back of his place for a little bit too, didn't he?
Yeah. I think the last movie I've ever rented, well, not really rented, went to a video store for was Enchanted.
I had to get that. I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah.
Well, you can put this on your list as having to rent it, even though I had to go rent it. But now we had a physical copy of a DVD in our hand. I mean, that's crazy. The only time I get physical copies of DVDs or Blu-rays anymore, so that I can put them on the shelf and never actually watch them.
It was really cool, actually, going in there, because it brought back all these childhood memories for me that I didn't really remember. I used to go into Ventura sometimes with my parents so that they could rent movies or whatever. And they have this little... I'm talking about in Ventura, there's Salzer's. There's always been, like, Salzer's Video on one side and Salzer's Records on the other side.
Yeah.
And the video store actually has this really cool little playground that's been there forever.
Yeah.
And I went over to the playground when we checked out this DVD, and I tried to walk on the springboard, and it was really fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a super dangerous playground toys that you wouldn't see anywhere because... Right. No, I'm not saying that as like a diss on it. I'm saying that the reason, like, this is what we grew up with as kids,
Just
you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Splintered planks of
exactly.
wood with horrible, like,
and
sticking out
your own
bolts.
wrist.
Yeah.
Sarah said she was thinking of taking her nephew over there, and I was like, we could just give him a splinter at home.
Yeah.
No, I really think that it's cool that stuff is still there, and they're probably only allowed because it's a business and they aren't advertising it as a playground. It's like you're going to a video store if you just so happen to want to. For anybody listening to this, you should check it out.
Yeah, Salzer's Video.
Go to Salzer's, rent a video. and play on the playground.
It's kind of like the Empire Records like video stores there. It's very like cool and hip, and it has a lot of selections to rent from.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's also that whole sociable aspect of it too, and it's 2 stories. They have a lot of genres there. The music store is kind of the same, where it's just 2 stories, although the top one's more hippied, but
yeah, they have like cool architectural features in both buildings.
Oh yeah,
and I've seen, because I follow them on Facebook, they share these pictures of like Salzer's Mercantile back when it was like an old building, and it's
like a barn, wasn't it? First,
I don't know.
My mom said like back in the day, it used to be like a barn that was in it just was CDs. Not CDs, just records upon records.
That's cool.
But I don't know if that's
a barn.
I imagine
sounds like a dream come true.
We'll put all these records into our barn.
You can get your chicken eggs.
I was thinking we could sell records on the side. Get
madness.
Get your bale of hay, get your chicken eggs, and
you're disturbing the cows.
Your new Eagles record all at the same time.
Yeah, those old-time Eagles records.
Next week, we should all go to Salzer's together and just experience what would occur if we, like, physically saw movies there and picked them out or whatever.
We should dress completely 80s just for the occasion.
90s.
Do we sound really old saying this?
I mean, in the age of the internet, we are really old.
Don't say that.
If you're old enough to remember CompuServe or Earthlink, then you're
Earthlink.
Floppy disks.
I mean, we're not that bad. We weren't on message boards or anything like that. It could be worse.
Joel, did you ever have a Net Zero account? Did you ever Net Zero?
No, because in Fillmore it would be impossible to get on it. I mean, there was you had to have a slightly faster connection than it was possible to have in Fillmore, for God's sake, even to have that free internet. Now, my parents were shelling out money for AOL.
We may as well have been on a desert island.
That's what it feels like. It's so dry.
I don't know how my dad did it, but we had Net Zero.
That's awesome.
Your dad was a scientist, right? He built his own internet. So, okay, let's... Who wants to synopsize the movie?
I guess I'll start with it.
Give it a couple of bullet points here. I feel like if we go into the entire, like step by step of the movie, I mean it's kind of confusing.
I have to explain
anyways,
Korean cinema first a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to, absolutely.
Like, if you're not familiar with Korean cinema, like this movie might take you back a bit. There is a thing about Korean humor where they like to have mixed tragedy with humor, and they blend it so well. So much like, what was it, The Host? It's tragically funny. There's a lot of tragically funny movies, like also Spring Breeze and whatnot. This one is it's a blurred, I would say it's science fiction, but it's kind of a blurred genre of this movie because it seems like it blends a science fiction with kind of a dark comedy, but it's also like very much like, I guess the heart of it's really a drama, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of blood in it, but I would say that this is a movie that definitely has a lot of, I wouldn't say gory, but definitely bloody scenes in it.
It's violent.
Extreme.
It's violent, yeah. I wouldn't say it's extreme. I've seen some pretty extreme Korean films that I wish I could take out of my mind. But, except for Old Boy, that one was really bad. I'm kind of glad I watched that one, even though it was really horrific. But, let's see.
This movie was funnier than Old Boy.
A little bit. A little bit.
Would you say dark comedy then?
I guess, oh god, yeah, like I said, you can't really pin it too much. Like, even the trailer for it says it doesn't even know what exactly the genre is. But it's mostly, I would say, just by the content of what's going on in it, sci-fi. This was one of my favorites because it's very stylized. It has a lot of grit to it. It has what a lot of gritty movies have, where it's mostly like green and red like filter to it. It's basically about, should I even say what it's about?
No, yeah. Just give a
very fast. Okay, so there's the main character, and he thinks that the world is going to be invaded by aliens, and so he kidnaps people and tries to get them to talk through torturous ways. And some of this is kind of comedical, and some of these are where you're just biting your nail trying to see how or where this is going, because it has complete switches ups and down where you don't know who to root for at a lot of parts of it. It has a really cool style. I like the soundtrack. Is pretty interesting, but I mean, if you don't like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, this might drive you nuts. They're like, not to give away anything, but to say there isn't really a bad guy, there isn't really a good guy. Everyone's just kind of in this situation, and everyone kind of has this weird side. It has a lot of references to other sci-fi movies in it. There's a lot of comedic parts in it. There's one that I'm going to give away, and it's where a detective goes to check out what used to be an old bathhouse turned into, I guess, a torture chamber lab. And the main character has, I guess, what would you call that, a bee farm or a bee?
He has an apiary. Yeah.
An apiary?
Mm-hmm.
And he's feeding the bees. The main character and the detective figures some big plot points out, and in the main character's defense, he throws some beef, I guess honey, or not sugar water, some sort of, I guess it's honey or something. And there's a scene where the detective, trying to get from the bees, he shoots a gun, and every shot of the gun, you see one bee fall to the ground. But it's pretty funny, but
I thought that was pretty intense, yeah.
Yeah, there is some CG in it, but I think that it actually works really good for the film. It's not like overly cartoony. It's meant to be kind of unrealistic. It's meant to be kind of out there. I'm very used to a lot of Korean cinema, so I'm very used to the humor, like I said, but I'd actually like to know how you took this, since you said that you're not very familiar with Korean cinema.
I've seen Old Boy.
That's a movie.
I've seen some other Korean movies too. I don't know. There's been kind of a Korean blow up in the last decade or so, where they have people like Park Chan-wook and other directors from the country who have just like on the scene in the film world. Everyone talking about their favorite one, and this one's super gory, but it's also really good, and this one's a classic, and you have to see, and then Spike Lee remakes Old Boy, and everybody forgets, or also the bad habit of bringing over those directors to make American movies, like, I enjoy Snowpiercer. I think that's another South Korean director, but...
Yeah, it's a South Korean film that has, it's based off of a French, was it novel?
Yeah, French comic book.
Novel with American and maybe Brit actors. I don't know about all the rest of the people.
British, and then a couple of Korean actors too, right?
There's actually, I think the girl from I'm a Cyborg, But It's Okay was one of the girls, but I could be wrong. It's actually been, I think my mind tried to erase Snowpiercer, so I could be completely wrong on that.
Yeah.
But,
I could go on for hours about that train. I could go on for hours.
We went on a train ride after seeing that movie, by the way.
Positive train ride or negative train ride?
Well,
let's stick to the
different movie. Yeah,
maybe it'll come up on the show. It is a science fiction fantasy movie.
I hope not.
Oh, if you're going to tear it apart, I want to be here so I can punch you. Stoker is another one that I really enjoyed. That is an American movie, but it's directed by one of the South Korean directors. And then there's that Arnold Schwarzenegger one by the guy who did the Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Sure.
Yeah. You don't know about that one?
No. Is that the zombie one?
No. That's Maggie. This one is he's like a small town Texas sheriff, and they're like running a caravan through his. Somebody escapes, and they're running the caravan. It's got Johnny Knoxville in it.
What? I never even.
You've never even heard of this, man.
You should watch it. You're probably going to hate it, but you should watch it anyways because I actually had pretty low expectations and I enjoyed it.
Cool.
But yeah, so no, I really like the style, the Korean style, because it's not anything you really see in the U.S. You can't really the B scene you were talking about specifically. That is a scene that mixes thrilling parts with humor parts with abject horror. Yeah. Because of what happens to this poor police officer. And it's like your temperature goes from, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, to like, that's really funny. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened kind of thing. It's like,
and then ew.
Yeah. Can't really figure out what the sine wave is going on there. But like, I can't think of any American movie that really does that. And maybe you'd have to lean heavily into like the 1980s, 90s horror movies, and that's not the same thing because the idea of humor in those is like for a sense of relief from the situation where you're being pursued by a monster or a killer or whatever. And this, it's like, no. Even though these things are kind of freaky and scary, there's a lot of humor in any of these situations. You just got to look at it the right way. Mm-hmm. And since you can't see it, this is what the camera's doing. Woo! Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of the expressions sometimes, if it's just a horrifying thing, just the way I think a lot of Korean cinema, it's the expressions of the characters that also make it so funny in like the worst situations of what's going on the screen as well. But I don't know, it's just
what do you think, Aaron? What did you think about it?
I was while you guys were talking, I was trying to think of any sort of Western film that I could even relate to this film. And I kind of came up with it's like if someone had taken the Matthew McConaughey film Frailty and taken elements of Fight Club and just mashed them together with a little bit of, and then sprinkled a bunch of sci-fi on it.
That's a good call, especially on Fight Club. That's a movie that does kind of ring in the like terrifying element with the humor of the situation.
Yeah.
With also having this like message behind it. I mean, the Fight Club's message is not difficult to see. A lot of people, for some reason, get it wrong. This movie's message was hit over. You got hit over the head with it.
Well, that's why I said it felt like a mixture of Frailty, Frailty with Fight Club.
I understand.
Yeah. And that was it just popped into my head while you guys were talking because I was trying to think. Well, because you were talking about Korean cinema, and I was thinking, well, what could I even relate this to? And those are the two films that I felt got mashed together, kind of in a way.
It's like, I think Koreans have really mastered the whole hilarious tragedy like scenes, like in The Host, when they think that, was it a little girl died? They think, and there's a scene where they're at a funeral, and it's just showing them grieving, but they keep grieving harder and harder and louder and then more dramatic, and then just like to the point of where they're all hugging each other and kicking their legs, screaming on the floor, to the point of where people have to drag them out of this like area where people are trying to grieve because it just goes like way too dramatic, and there's just something like really funny and sad about it, but you can't help but laugh.
That is such a great Korean film too. The Host. That one's pretty amazing.
A bit more dated CG, but I still like it.
Yeah. Sarah, you didn't tell us what you thought.
Well, I have really mixed feelings about this movie. I really liked it, and I thought in a way that it was really unique, but I also had this other feeling like it was kind of like almost like taunting or something, like almost mocking reality. Like, look at all this crazy stuff happening in the world.
Yeah.
But it sucks. And we're all stuck here. And I had this, in the beginning, when they first started off with the whole premise of this guy saying, I'm gonna kidnap this alien who's a CEO of a company or whatever.
Oh yeah, he said that he's a Andromeda.
Yeah.
An Andromedan.
Andromedan. When they first started off with that, I liked the lo-fi garbage bag outfits that they made for themselves. Kind of
Quirky looking.
Yeah, quirky. Low budget, think they're gonna save the world outfit. And I started to kind of get invested in the ideas initially. And I still think that the acting was like really good throughout and the story was interesting, but somewhere along the way I got a little bit sidetracked, just me personally. I think I started to feel like I would just not want to be in the situation. Like that was like overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
And then I felt like it was kind of like mocking people feeling that way too. Like, I don't want to be in this situation. It's horrible. It's a tragedy, but you're stuck. And even though this isn't your reality, it kind of is. Like, because it's kind of mocking reality. Like, I don't know. I just...
Yeah, like, I see what you mean, but but like, once again, that funny tragedy thing that a lot of Korean cinema has.
I think Sarah's spot on. The movie totally mocks reality. It's, everything you believe is a lie, kind of a thing.
But that lie is totally a real kind of a thing. Like, it is kind of, but I think I know that it was on purpose to do that. But I think without that feeling, I don't think it would have so much power when you see some of these characters go through the situations. And for me, it's like it switches so fast from, I think that guy's an ass. And then you see him like, I feel so bad for him. And like, you know what, that guy kind of is, kind of an ass.
Which one?
There's some parts where you first get to know the guy who gets kidnapped, the CEO, and you're like, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
And then you feel bad for him, but then you're like, the person who's torturing him, I kind of feel bad for him. That's kind of sad.
Well, logic would dictate that dude's not an alien. Like, that guy's just crazy. He's popping pills. Look at this guy. Oh, yeah. He's not even aware of reality. Like, Tyler Durden, what? Huh?
Well, there is some scenes of where he stole, like, I guess, spoiled, I guess, basically meth. And he's popping them. So sometimes you see certain things that he thinks is real, like in his own mind, but at the same time, it's kind of like, maybe he's right, maybe he's not, but you don't really get too clear. And there's a scene in it where he talks about, the whole Andromeda thing, and talks about, he keeps taking pieces from other movies and talking about them. I think there was someone else that said, like, you didn't, I see you've been watching too much movies. And he says, like, don't you know these are all based on real events that happened?
Every time they went up, like, visually, I wondered if that was supposed to just be, like, his head. Like, if it was supposed to be, like, in the library of his mind or something.
What do you mean?
Like, when he was explaining, like, relativity or whatever to him.
Oh, you mean like everything was fast forwarding, like going the picture to picture and stuff like that? Yeah. I mean, well, we kind of established that would be something to be expected, because there's a scene where he's having a fight scene, a full-on flying through the air kung fu style fight scene with somebody else in the middle of the street. And it's like, that's cool. Well, he's kicking that guy's butt. That guy doesn't stand a chance. And then it's not actually happening. It turns out it was, although the only way it's indicated that this didn't actually happen is the fact that we see him not dressed up in his fancy alien fighting gear and talking to the person that he was just beating up. So that kind of sets a precedent that maybe whenever anything seems too fantastical, that it's just in this guy's head.
There's a lot of tragedy in this movie, I'm not going to lie. There's some really sad backstory to the main character that, there's a lot of environmental stuff in this too, and questioning of humanity and how our society works. There's a lot of that, and about if aliens are the ones that are enemies, or if it's humanity that's its own enemy, and whether or not it's so much that human life on Earth is more important than the actual life of the planet itself. So there's also that thrown into there.
I was going to ask you, because I did notice some political stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you were saying there was a big incident that happened maybe in the 80s.
In the 80s, I think there was. I don't know all the particulars about it. I just barely learned about some documentaries talking about there was a big riot or something happened in the 80s. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend that I know anything about South Korea or what happened, but I got the impression that it was almost like there was this message of the good guys and the bad guys, but neither, like you were saying, neither one was really good or bad.
Yeah.
And I almost saw that being, I mean, I have no point of reference based in what actually happened historically, but it made me wonder if this filmmaker was trying to illustrate the powers that be in government or police or whatever being painted as a bad guy when they were the, ones on top versus the underdog. And that they're all tied in this twisted, unfortunate reality that they're basically they're all trapped together.
Yeah.
And they're all just doing their job or whatever.
So what I got from it was that they said in the movie that it's basically humans are the only animal on Earth that take pleasure in hurting their own species. Well, I mean, that's actually not true, but I know dolphins like doing that, but I'm not going to get into that. But it talks about not so much the whole good and evil. It's just the human race is destroying itself and building itself up and destroying itself again, and it's not changing. It's not looking at what it's doing. And if they don't try and figure out a way to not destroy everything in the world with them, then that's a life worth saving. So if the aliens were there to destroy the Earth, what exactly are they saving when everyone keeps treating each other so horrifically and bad? And it gets this big part where it just shows actual, real clips of Nazis just doing horrific things in camps, just showing people with, arms getting, blown off, showing actual footage of, wars and stuff, talking about, this is what humanity is doing to itself, how, look at what you guys are doing, and you think that we're the threat, kind of a thing. So it has a lot of stuff like that, and also some, I think, environmental things, talking about, the Earth is alive, itself. So that was, I think, a really important part of the movie.
How did you find this movie? Did a friend show it to you, or did you just find it yourself?
Oh, I just remember there was a lot of talk about it. And it was going for the Sundance, all these film festivals, and everyone was talking about. I don't remember exactly who or what, but there was a lot of talk about it. And I don't remember exactly how I got the VHS or what. It was just we all got together, a bunch of people, and we watched it. This was maybe the beginning, college, maybe, or maybe not.
But a bunch of your friends got together?
It was, I know some people I knew that, we got together and we watched it. And, it was pretty intense. We all, loved it. Because when you think about when it was made, there wasn't really a lot like that.
There isn't anything. Yeah,
it was very, interesting. The directing was awesome. The music and atmosphere was great. The message in it was really cool. You have really great acting. With the costuming on, I really like. I'm surprised I don't see a lot of cosplayers as some of the main characters. There's a really great, I think, character design. There's a girl. It was Sunyi, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of this muscular, kind of very athletic like, not what I would call, like, dainty or frail, but she just looks really, like, strong, acrobatic, kind of tightrope walker, but she's really girly. Like, there's just, whenever you see her, she has, like, little stars in her hair, and she puts her hair in little buns, and she's playing with princess dolls, and she has this kind of cool circus-like look to her with the pink, a lot of pink in the tutu, but super strong. I think she pinned a guy down with her thigh muscles alone.
There's definitely a certain innocence to the character.
She's
like maybe she's not fully perceiving, what's going on around her.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And
I just
think
thought
that's
she
what
was
Joel's trying to say.
brainwashed. I think she was innocent
Yeah.
and just kind of brainwashed. I wouldn't really.
I mean, she grew up in a circus walking on a tightrope. She might have fallen on her head a bunch of times. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
So
I'm just saying that she was very
Origin story. What the heck?
susceptible to this guy, and she didn't seem to think anything that he was doing was wrong. Even to the point, the thing that finally sent her off when she disappears for part of the movie was not, oh, this guy is really hurting me, you need to save me, the person that they had captured. It was, by the way, he might not actually love you.
Well, I mean,
he wasn't physically hurting her or anything.
Oh
No.
no, he's
Or
talking about the CEO.
I'm talking about the CEO
Oh, the
saying,
CEO?
like, you need to help me, but that wasn't.
She's kind of tuning him out.
Yeah.
Well, but that's because she was brainwashed to believe that he'll do anything in mind tricks to get her to do whatever he wants. So she was trying. I don't think the fact that she's trying to be mean for that, she didn't. She's brainwashed. She thought that.
I don't think she was brainwashed. I think she was just willing to do whatever he said they should do because she loved him.
She was blindly in love, yeah.
I don't know, but she's crying because she said she was scared about the whole alien thing.
No.
And then also she,
well, there were moments, especially during some of the torture scenes, and even at the very beginning of the film, when with the attempted capture, where she just has this look in her eyes, like, am I really doing this?
Mm.
Like a brief glimpse of like, are we really gonna take this guy? but then that's almost like just overlaid immediately with, okay, sure, whatever you want to do.
We'll sand down his foot. Get some sweet Benadryl on it. Really good.
Were there any other movies that reminded you of in any way? I kind of thought of The Fisher King.
Oh yeah.
Like what parts? Like, the directing style or like the filter?
The fantasy reality of the
I haven't seen that movie before.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, dude, Fisher King, man.
Well,
and the rich guy versus the guy who's fallen down, maybe because of that rich guy.
Well, yeah, because his family suffered because of the factory that the CEO worked at.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good comparison.
That's the only thing that came to mind that was, well, I guess Fight Club too, in the way that it's like you're your own.
It reminded me of Saw, but not because of not because of you want to play a game or any of the torture porn stuff, but like the part in the parking garage where they take down the guy the first time. There's a part in Saw with the parking garage, and then being strapped into that chair, things like that. People are being strapped everywhere in Saw.
Go on.
It wasn't. I mean, not nearly as good.
I have yet to see a
this
Saw
movie is
movie.
much better than Saw.
Me too.
I have yet to see a Saw.
I see. I consider the first Saw to be enjoyable because it seemed kind of creative. Although the very the very last line of the movie almost ruined it for me, but it's fine. I haven't watched any of I have seen a couple of the sequels, and they're just bad news. So
yeah,
but
that's to avoid.
Yeah. And this movie's much. Save the Green Planet is much better than any of the Saws. I was wondering if the guy who made those, had seen this movie and a bunch of the other things that would have influenced him to come up with Saw in the first place.
Yeah.
There was that little Usual Suspects moment too that they threw in, where it was like Kaiser Sose.
I just noticed that's interesting about this movie is, when you watch a lot of horror films and you know about someone that's being kept captive, you think, where are they going to the bathroom? How are they eating? There's no, that couldn't happen. It's like, this could happen. This person, the way that he made a special chair that's kind of like a toilet on the bottom, and then it has a special spring so he can feed himself, but only has a pin that holds both the hands down on this chair. Mm-hmm. But when he wants him to drink, remember, he just pulls the pin and the guy can drink something, puts it down, puts the pin so it's still down. You could tell you see him sleep there. You see that can function there for he could have kept him there forever if he
wanted to. See him pee for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how he's just kind of reminiscing, like staring off in the distance, and he's just
I'm having a flashback.
5 minutes. Yeah.
It was just like the other day.
Yeah, I think it was a little realistic. Maybe that's why I was uncomfortable, because I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in a torture chamber.
Yeah.
And it wasn't set in some silly area where that place would exist. It's really it used to be a bathhouse, and he built a house on top of it that used to be for miners. So it has all this tiling floor. It's under the ground. There's all these trap doors to it. You don't even know how exactly they're connected. It's he built all these little areas, so he made it function just for this purpose. It's not how would they find a building that did this? Well, it's explains that he did it himself.
5 years,
yeah. And all these different functions on it, he just is crazy and great. He thought of everything, kinda.
Was there anything else that you felt was worth
Joel,
mentioning?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was your favorite moment in the movie? If you could pick one.
What's your least favorite?
My favorite part was when we saw that lady's butt. No, what? I don't like to do that with movies I just saw. Pick out a favorite part.
Okay, that's fine.
Right?
That's fine.
Least favorite part?
Yeah, your least.
Yeah, I want to talk about the archetypes of characters inside the movie. I want to talk about that detective guy, the one that was the old school detective that the younger detective was idolizing. Yeah. That's in every movie that there's a cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
In at least in I don't know, specifically South Korean movies. I mean, I like those guys. Why?
Do you like the seasoned grizzled cop? Is that one of your favorite?
You don't take
cop
no
procedural.
guff.
Yeah, man.
Keep your guff over there.
That's right. He has an ethics. He's got a code he lives by. Even when the law doesn't work for him, he's always working for the law.
He's working for a fish place.
Yeah.
Well, but part time, man. Part time. He's got his laptop and he's still looking up the case, and he's clicking the mouse with the dead fish. Just to make those bucks, but he's still a cop at heart, man. He's got
about money. It's just that he came into habit.
Yeah.
And he got basically the old cop got got framed for something, but he still just wants to keep on trying. I guess maybe trying to bring his honor back, but still at the same time kind of lost his faith in the law.
Yeah, it's not really fleshed out.
That's what I got from it, because they said a lot of stuff happened to him.
Yeah.
That was busted. And then the other guy, I guess, was some prodigy, got out of school. He had a lot of potential and had a very sharp mind, and everyone's all, the prodigy, he's look at him, everyone, be that guy.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
The ability to stare blankly at a whiteboard.
Oh my gosh. That guy, when he was down in the torture chamber, it was nobody even knows. They think they've already got their guy. If I were him, I would be like, God damn it, why did I even pursue this?
But he's still kind of naive, though, and young, so he hasn't really done much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's a lot of people disappearing from this one area, and plus, the by the way, there's a lot of I don't know how this dog isn't like so fat. Because there is this scene, I guess we already spoiled enough, but this dog's being fed a lot of bodies, and I'm like, I don't know how this dog is not like just so...
I can't believe the dog still wants them.
It'd certainly be sick. I don't think you could just feed an animal humans.
Human remains.
Yeah.
But like there was a whole skull in there, so he ate a whole human...
I don't think a dog really would.
Aaron, you want to feed some people to humans later?
No, I was going to say something, but then I was like, nah, I don't want to come off creepy right now.
What?
Aaron, this is this is the podcast. This is your medium, so let's hear
officer, I'll just directly talk to the cops on this one.
Just one more thing.
That's why like mafia people probably have like pig farms, right?
Right, but pigs are different than dogs. Dogs are those domesticated pet animals that you have to feed a specific thing, or else they throw up all over my rug. Anyway. Like people aren't like processed like animal meat either. Like cows aren't like, you could talk about how cows aren't healthy to eat anyways, but compared to what a human is eating, and then you eat a human, just think about the quality.
I see what you're saying. That dog.
But
right?
I mean, I think it would, because I mean, dogs are kind of known for tearing people apart too.
Yeah, cats too.
Cats?
Could have been some cats.
I've never heard of a cat tearing apart a person.
Have you never heard about like the old lady that dies in her apartment? And
that's already dead. I'm talking about like...
Oh, a live person?
Yeah, a live person.
I don't know. Pascal's looking at me kind of weird.
If any cat would do it, it'd be Pascal.
I think he's got some steak sauce.
Little Sweeney Todd over there.
Yeah. That's what I think it looks like.
What archetype did the trapeze artist play for you, Joel?
Damsel.
She wasn't really. I mean, that was more like a stereotype, like the buff woman who isn't too bright, but like I don't know.
She's got a heart, Joel.
I feel like
she's got a heart.
Yeah. She's like an innocent soul. You know, she's like a Lenny. You know, she can't help crushing those little rabbits' heads. That's right.
In America, I feel like she'd be the butt of the joke, or she'd be like farting.
Yeah, like every time she landed after doing an acrobatic flip, there'd be a large fart noise going on. I agree with you.
You just made me think. You made me think about like Nacho Libre. Like, yeah, she is kind of like the Nacho. Like she's. Well, not she, I think he's
She's not the hero, yeah.
No, I'm talking about as far as a bigger person lumbering like farting.
She's not the winner. She's the loser.
I said that hero. I need a hero. She's not the main focus of the movie. Like, you know, they're not Nacho Libres and our Paul Blarts, and, you know, that's not. Yeah, anyway.
Our Paul Blart.
But I digress.
A fart joke like other countries are above putting fart jokes in their movies. I'll tell you something. I don't know. I mean,
are you defending the American fart? Like, is that what you're doing, Joel?
Let's get our minds back
this
to
country was built on a pyramid of beans.
I don't know what to think of what you just said.
Listen, I use Letterboxd, and one of my tags, you can like tag a movie if you're specifically looking for movies that have a certain thing in it. Like usually my tags are I watched it with this person and I watched it on this medium. But I do have a special tag for fart jokes.
Yeah.
Because
awesome.
It just doesn't. I don't see them that often. So when I do in a movie, like because I'm not watching comedies, you know, I rarely watch comedies. So when something like somebody does fart in a movie, I'm like, yep, gonna type that up.
That was a fart part in the movie. It shows the circus, and that guy throws baby powder on his ass and farts.
Oh, that's right.
And you see it hit the guy in the face, and then everyone laughs.
There
and
was a
like,
fart scene.
And now the tightrope walker.
Yeah.
Nice transition.
Yeah.
No, that did happen, dude. That was right before she fell. That was right before she fell off the high wire.
I think I was like...
Were you so mesmerized by all the torture?
I was pondering the meaning of life or something.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, like, I know we talk about torture a lot in this movie, but it's really not that graphic.
No,
it doesn't show meat being torn. It doesn't show blades going into anything.
It's not torture porn like that. But it is... It's graphic in the sense that it is violent, and the things that you assume are happening are pretty horrific. Like, I almost think it's worse than, like, that part where he freaks out when she's ironing the doll clothes, and they both go upstairs, and then he runs downstairs, and you know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because you hear the guy screaming. It's worse that you don't see him doing it, I think.
Because your imagination.
Later on, you just see 2 iron marks on the guy's chest.
Gave him a little bikini imprint there. Looking real good for the summer.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the ending of the movie. So let's do a little spoiler warning here. If you don't want to hear, well, actually, before that, let's do this last thing, and then we'll talk about the spoilers at the end of the show. You guys, I imagine we all would recommend this to other people.
Oh, yeah.
I know you two would.
Yeah.
Sarah, let's say your aunt was asking you, should she watch this?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it to, like, my mom.
No.
But I'd recommend it to, like, my friends or my aunt or something.
Yeah. If somebody said, oh, have you heard of this movie, Save the Last Planet? Or Save the Green Planet. Save the Last Dance.
Save the Last Dance Planet.
Save the Green Planet.
I can't take you anywhere.
I don't know why you're laughing. I'll have you know there's a Blu-ray of that movie right back there.
Awesome.
I need looks.
Yeah, if somebody was like, oh, should I watch this movie, Save the Green Planet? I just picked it up.
I would, if someone was asking me, hey, what movie should I watch? I like sci-fi. I'm like, well, I have a podcast. Oh, you know what? You should watch Save the Green Planet.
You should watch Fateful Findings.
In my opinion, this whole movie's premise was riding on the idea that this guy could be an alien. I feel like this is borderline science fiction for me, because we talked about that in one of the earlier episodes.
Yeah.
I think it was LFO or something.
Yeah. This movie reminded me of LFO.
Yeah, because you're like, is this all in this guy's mind?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's another movie with, like, horrifying things going on, but it's also kind of silly.
Yeah.
Like some of the things.
Very cartoonish.
And low budget.
Did you watch that movie, LFO? Did Aaron make you watch it?
No.
You should watch it.
I don't make him watch.
Aaron?
Don't make me watch anything.
Aaron, force your wife to watch movies.
I do what I want.
Parts per billion. No.
Oh. I love her, Joel. I would never show her that movie.
A message of love out to the cosmos. So you should definitely watch this movie. Before we go into spoilers, I just want to say I've been forgetting the last couple times to do this. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Outer Space Pod. If you want to send an email with any suggestions, obviously we take suggestions. Or if you want to make any comments about Aaron's masculine voice or
why, thank you,
Sarah's non-masculine voice, feminine. Okay, you can send it at pleasedon'tpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, so the spoiler. The ending of the movie
goes on too long.
Well, I think the movie on a whole kind of goes on too long. Like we were talking about the detective stuff earlier. I would have liked to spend a little more time with the detectives instead of so much time with maybe him, crazy boy, trying to work things out.
Yeah.
But I don't like the ending. Like, you were right. When you said when he gets sucked up by the mothership at the end, that's where they should have cut it.
Yeah, it's just, that would have just been perfectly fine. I would have been, this movie's awesome. But, I mean, it doesn't ruin the movie, because in my mind I could just say, like, that was the end. I'm not going to bother with the rest. It's still...
Yeah, it's not ruined.
Yeah, it's not ruined. But it does go on a little too far, I think.
In that way, it kind of reminded me of Safety Not Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Safety Not Guaranteed, he's saying, are you guys at all interested in seeing that movie?
You're going to spoil a
Spoilers.
I
different
haven't
movie.
seen it.
In this podcast.
It's all good. It's all good.
Let's stick with the spoilers for this movie. Anyway, something science
I
fiction
have something
happens.
I could say about that movie,
Okay.
but if we're just sticking to this, I won't.
That could end up on this podcast.
Safety Not Guaranteed?
Yeah. It's definitely science fiction.
You and I have both seen it.
I know. And we both have different opinions about it.
It's like it goes off and it has this great what you think ending, and then it kind of trails a bit on how much further that ending is gonna go. But it's like if you cut it at this certain part when you get sucked up, you would have already assumed everything that they filmed after that point. So just that's my only beef really with the movie. I think it's a really fun movie. I don't think it's. I don't know. Like it's. I would watch it with a lot of people. I think it's fun. I don't know about alone. How great of a time you're gonna have sitting all by yourself watching it.
The end is a little depressing.
Yeah, I feel like the end is such a downer. I don't know if I would want like a big group of friends. I think that we did it right with the four of us so that we could talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the first time I saw it was a group of people, and it kind of made it better.
Well, I don't like those people. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't even know.
I think the movie relies a lot on shock value of things. And I'm not saying that to cheapen the experience.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that why it'd be fun to see it with a group is just because how shocking things can get, and
Really?
seeing your friends' reactions.
Oh, just
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
how your friends react to the
Yeah.
atmosphere. I
Yeah.
thought you meant that there was just like cheap scares.
Oh,
or
no.
something.
I wasn't trying to cheapen the experience. I'm just saying that it relies a lot on,
But it's interesting ways some of these tortures I haven't seen in any other movie. I don't even know how this guy came up with some of the torturous ways.
Do you like horror movies?
I love horror movies, but I do not like gore. And I don't like torture porn, but I love horror films. And this is one where it gets you very interested. You do get sucked into it pretty easy. It has very interesting elements in it, and he has all these torture gadgets that he built, and everything looks very homemade. But at the same time, you're like, why would you do that? Like, there's one where he takes a steam cleaner and kind of lubes it up, and you kind of get an idea that goes up somebody's something by the very phallic shape of the tip of it.
What do you mean? I thought it was going to go in his nose.
No, he said that he was going to destroy his intestinal tract with it.
Yeah, you can reach that if it's long enough. I mean,
Yeah, it's this big long pipe, and steam comes out of it, and you're like, why?
yeah, clear your sinuses up.
No, but when you think about having someone like, why would you go through the trouble of molding this metal into this shape? And that's the way.
cray.
I know that, but even for a crazy person, there has to be at least some crazy reason why. But
Aaron, as a crazy person.
As a crazy person?
Yeah.
I'm more of the tinfoil hat kind of crazy person as opposed to the...
the steam cleaner.
Yeah.
And I'm more of the government is coming to get me kind of crazy person.
I guess I'm more the zombie apocalypse. Crazy.
Survivalist.
So, rules to live by from this? Or
There was another one more thing I wanted to talk about, which was that the ending of the movie, the prince is on the spaceship. The CEO is actually the prince. And they show that this experiment failed. There's still 4,000 blah, 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 other experiments going on. And he decides to cancel the program, which essentially destroys the planet. Do you think that if he had not been put through this terrible situation with the torture and everything like that, he would have done that?
I don't think so. I think he probably would have let the Earth survive, in all honesty. I think that he would have let the experiments continue to see if humanity would make that final change from being aggressors to to seeking peace.
No, I don't think so, because it showed before what he was doing was that there's a scene, like, I don't know if you guys got, there's, you could see that he was, I guess there's a little bit, I don't know if this is the way it's supposed to come, but I got the feeling that he was bumping off people, like, kind of like a mafia type style, and he was having affairs with all these different women, and then just doing horrible things. I think he didn't care about humanity whatsoever.
I thought that was just setting up that he was supposed to be a person like one of the, what you would imagine a typical evil CEO would be like, not necessarily that was his personality type. I think that.
I don't think he would have.
I don't know. I imagine he was like playing a role. Now, whether or not he had become the role that he was pretending to be, I can't tell, but I honestly think that if that guy had not taken him and tortured him trying to save the Earth, that he would have. I mean, they spent millions and millions of years on this, and only a couple of them, the experiments had failed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't think that he would have. He just treated it. Like, I don't think that he had any faith in this project going any further. Because if he did, then there wouldn't be a whole meetup or anything. And him, because it was already going to be a go. And the reason why that the main character wanted to capture the CEO to stop
this meetup from happening.
Yeah, this meetup from happening.
That does make sense a little bit too. I think we better wrap it up because Aaron looks like he's going to die.
I'm getting a little sleepy.
I'm afraid I'm a few home still.
Yeah, I'm a few Coca-Colas in.
So what were the lessons?
You guys could stay here tonight if
what
you
were the
wanted
lessons from this week's movie? Number one.
I thought you were gonna
no, go ahead.
Oh.
What do you got?
Humanity's pretty freaking scary, and it's pretty like it's almost like we're our own worst enemy.
That's good. Okay, number two, Aaron.
Common rollerball type items can break up the immune system of aliens.
Okay, number three, Sarah.
Even if you're really rich, you aren't safe in a parking garage.
And number four, no matter how smart you are, do not invite a detective into your house unless you've got a lot of bees. Well, you know what? Before we sign off, I can't even do this. I should have done this before, and I apologize. And nobody's going to know what this movie is because I'm sure everybody has stopped listening to the podcast by now. But we got an email.
Oh, we got an email?
We got an email.
Whoa.
A different one.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. Hi, email.
Hi, email.
Anyway, it's from a special person, special listener, who told me to do a movie, and I told him, you need to write an email, and so he did. An email from William, movie suggestion. He says in the email, hi, do Predestination, and then he's got an DMV link. DMV. He's got a DMV link. So, Predestination is going to be the new movie we're going to do next week.
Predestination is the new destination of the DMV.
That is incorrect, but we're going to watch it anyways.
You made it sound so believable.
Yeah. She's been practicing all day.
Okay.
So until next week, it was great talking to y'all. Even though you're not talking back, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Please take care of Earth. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Together make it